All right, good morning and super. Once again, I want to welcome you all to my session. Welcome once again to another great episode of Mindship Programming. My name is Tonito, and of course, I'm always super excited that you and I here to do this together each day and every seconds that life gives us opportunity to be here. Once again, a great morning to you all, and I want to say thank you for every one of you, each and every one of you that would always take your time to connecting with us to doing this together. It's been an awesome moment. I can say that to you anytime in the day that I've been so privileged and so happy and so proud that I have some group of people who tune in daily to our show, who tune in daily to our broadcast on onevoiceradio.com, and also who tune in daily to our broadcast and our podcast here on Facebook on our live feed. So right now we're just kicking off this morning segment of Mindship Programming, and of course, in a couple of weeks we've been busy discussing what I've titled the currency called character, and we've been able to unpack what components that makes your character legal tender, that makes your character to contain the same or much more better value than a dollar bill, than whatever currency that you spend in your country, that whatever the world accepts, that your character could actually buy you things that money can buy you, and your character could afford for you what you needed to afford, but you do not have the financial resources or the financial capacity to do all of that. And that is what we are in here today to set out. So welcome to another great episode of Mindship Programming as we continue on this great series, the currency called character. I want to crave your indulgence. I believe that some way, somehow, this podcast is in one way or the other impacting your life. I would truly crave your indulgence to drop me some messages. Go to my website www.tonitosamuel.com, and there is a chat room. Integrate that into that platform. You and I can have a chat, okay? And also you can also connect with me straight from onevoiceradio.com. There is also chat room integrated into that platform. You and I can have a one-on-one chat, definitely. And also you can reach me directly from onevoiceafrica.com/Tonito, onevoiceafrica.com/Tonito. You can hit me a private message and we can pick it up from there. Or better still, we can use every popular social network platform like facebook.com/Tonito, like Twitter @Tonito, and of course on Instagram I still remain Tonito. So I crave your indulgence. Just find a way that you and I can connect and bridge the gap that exists so that we can together enlighten and empower ourselves so we can grow. Alright, so thank you once again for giving me that time for that short marketing. Now, another thing that we decided to work on today is a continuation on what we picked up in the last couple of weeks, which has been building the currency, the character that can become currency. Now, I tell you, I'm feeling so excited about this segment of Mindship Programming. Why? Because it is also helping me to become better. It is helping me to watch what I need to grow, the weaknesses that I need to work upon, the strengths that I need to allow to take over my life. Okay, so since we started, we talked about character being the who you are in the private when no one is watching, as opposed to the person you pretend to be in the public. All right, and part of the traits that we discussed yesterday, I remember talking about fairness, I remember talking about generosity, I remember talking about courageousness, and I remember one striking component that I really talked about yesterday was authenticity. And I defined authenticity, I beg your pardon, as the ability of you being able to be your real and true self, and of course without pretension or posturing or even some sense of insincerity. It's just the real you. There's no faking it till you're making it. There's no pretending to be who you're not. Now, because authenticity, that is actually what makes you really, really legal tender. That is what makes you real in a marketplace, in any relationship. The true self, your true self, what is built on authenticity. And that is what we decided to work upon that yesterday, that I took my time to talk about. But today, I want to also discuss another thing. Okay, sit down. All right, so today we decided to talk about another great thing that it's also taking its time to build something fantastic. All right, and part of those things that I'll be discussing this morning is what I have titled the continuation. I beg your pardon. We talked about generosity, and today we are further sharing on more points such as more traits. And I believe by the end of today, I would have been able to give you about 20 character traits that can help form the kind of components that your life needs, to build the better you, that your life needs to build the right components that can turn your character into becoming a legal tender, a very valuable currency. All right, so today I will be talking about what I've titled politeness. Now, what exactly is politeness? Now, like I said to you, you need to understand there's a place for integrity, there's a place for responsibility, respectfulness, fairness, generosity, perseverance. There's a place for loyalty. There's a place for respectfulness and responsibility. And we talked about generosity just a couple of minutes ago. Right now, I want to talk about politeness. Now, these are components that makes your currency legal tender in the name of Jesus. So I need you all to just understand. I said all of that right now, saying in the name of Jesus, because sometimes we actually need to pray this attitude and this component, this character trait into ourselves and into our life. So I need you all to just understand that politeness is one key thing that we need to work about. I will be talking about politeness today. I will be talking about kindness, and I'll be talking about lovingness. Now, these are the three traits that I will talk about. Now, so what exactly is politeness? Now, politeness is the fact that you are knowledgeable of basic good manners. Okay. Now, being polite and speaking to people in a very polite manner, asking for help politely, without some sense of arrogancy, without some sense of rudeness, is what politeness is. Another way is having courtesy, and having the right etiquette. And of course, and you are willing to apply those to all people you come across in your life. Now, some of us have enough etiquette or character traits that we want to share and discuss with people who are always higher in terms of position than we are, but we do not know how to relate this with people who are below us in our own understanding. So we tend to have respect for people who are in a higher place, but we do not have respect, and we're not polite to people who are lower than us in office. So we think we can meet our boss and say yes sir, but when it comes to junior staff, you want to talk to them just the way you feel like, because you think you are higher in position. That is politeness. After this break, you and I are going to step up and continue. Let's just go for a short commercial break. Thank you. All right, welcome back. As we just decided to take a short break to fix one or two technical things. Okay, so welcome back to the continuation of the series, the currency called character, part 5. You're on the part 5 edition, as we are doling out those components that enables your character to become much more valuable, like the currency, the bill that you carry in your hand, that can enable your character buy things for you that money can buy for you, that can enable your character buy or acquire for you what money cannot acquire for you, or what money can acquire but you don't even have that money to acquire. But I can say to you that good character can acquire them for you. So as we continue on this edition, remember before the break I talked about politeness, and I shared with you that politeness is an attitude that enables you talk to people with courtesy. You understand the right etiquette to managing human relationship, and that you did not treat people based on classism. That politeness allows you or enables you to help people, to treat people in a right manner. Now, you don't treat me less important because I'm younger, and you treat people, or because I'm in lesser position than you are, and you think you can treat me with less honor or less respect or less regard. That's not being polite now, because politeness is a way that you treat people without in any form appearing to be rude or saucy or nasty, as some of us would say sometimes. All right, so that is one good character trait that I believe you must have within you. Now, at the course of my teaching, I had to say to us that at some point we might have to pray. As we pray, then we consciously work these characters, this behavior, this component, this culture into our life. Because I can say to you that having a good character trait that has the power and the potency to become a currency is not something easy to acquire. It's not something easy that everybody can have. It is possible to see a very persevering person, but who is not kind or who is not polite? It is absolutely possible. So we have weaknesses, we have strengths, and the reason why we are teaching all of this is so that you and I can learn how to manage and integrate all of this thing and sync them in a way that they become a tool that creates the better us. All right. So like I said, you need to be very knowledgeable of the basic good manners and of course common courtesies and etiquette, and of course, and you're also willing to apply those to all people you encounter. All people you encounter, not some people, not some class of people, but to every person that you encounter. And you have the desire to also learn the skills of politeness in order to always help yourself to enhance your relationships and self-esteem. That is what it means to be polite. You need to know how to treat people. It's absolutely the opposite of being rude. It's you coming out in a very courteous way and dealing with people with good manners. All right. Now, the next point I want to discuss with us again this morning is what I've called kindness. Now, what exactly is kindness? Now, kindness is an attitude of being considerate, helpful, and of course benevolent to others. Now, it is motivated by a positive and of course a very disposition and the desire for warmth and pleasure. Now, kindness, or what I call pleasant interactions, it's a culture where you make people. There's a song I learned while growing up. You gotta show a little kindness, shine the light for everyone to see. Now, you could shine the lights for only yourself to see. Now, but as long from the day you begin to share, you have that open-mindedness of being benevolent in nature, being helpful to others, being considerate, having that understanding that people might be going through stuff. I have what they don't have, and I want to share with them. That is that component called kindness. That is how you begin to make yourself quite valuable. All right? That is how you begin to build the currency, the character that evolves into a worthy currency. So kindness is key. I've talked about politeness. Right now I'm sharing with you what kindness is about. Okay? Another thing that I said we will touch on today is lovingness. Now, I have friends who say to me, I love love. That they love love, everything about love, they love love and love love. Now, but what really is lovingness? Lovingness is the ability to be loving and also to love. It is the ability to be loving towards those you love. And of course, it also means that you are showing them through your words, actions, and of course your expressions and how deeply you are about them. Now, there are some people who can only express love from their mouth, but their actions does not say they love you. There are other people who may not know how to express love from their words, from their mouth, but somehow through their action, there is a way they play it out. Now, but trust me, lovingness is one key thing that you need to build in you. Lovingness is one good character trait that people want to see in you. When people say to you, and I say to people that lovingness is what leads into what we call the consciousness of empathy in any leader. Because if you can always learn to step out of your comfort zone, step out of your shoes, step out of your own space, and understand what people go through, and can understand and feel in their space, then that tells me that there is a measure of love in your heart, compassion that leads to kindness. And that's the reason why you can say to people, I know what you feel. I feel the same thing with you. All right. So it is key. Lovingness is one component that you must understand. Now, we've touched on 3 this morning. We've touched on politeness. We've touched on kindness. And now we've touched on lovingness. Another good character traits that you must have, which is something remarkable for me. It's the fact that the world is losing on this already. It is called optimism. Now, optimism is a sense of what hopefulness and of course confidence about the future. Now, the future is quite bleak for quite a number of people, but can you become that beacon of hope for the world? Can you become that beacon of hope for a larger percentage of people, or even one person around you? Can anyone look up to you and say, each time I see you, I have a sense of hopefulness, I have this belief, I have this assurance, that trust that things are definitely going to get better with me, for me, and in my life. Now the future might be bleak for a lot of people, but you can become that beacon of light. Now, because optimism is a sense of hopefulness and of confidence. Some people do not have hope that things can be better. Some people lack self-confidence and confidence in others. And I say to people, anybody who lacks self-confidence, who lacks confidence, I beg your pardon, would almost not have hope and confidence in other people. Alright, so optimism is one key component that you must build into your life. Now it involves a very positive mental attitude. Understand this three word: positive, one, mental, what, an attitude. It involves a very positive mental attitude in which you interpret life, okay, events, people, and of course situation in a promising light. And I'll say that again. Now, the fact that you're optimistic does not mean that things ain't going bad, but in the midst of things not going the way you want them, but you are hopeful. There is this song I love a lot. I think it was done by Faith Evans and this rapper Twister, if I'm correct. Yes, I'm hopeful for today. I am grateful that He will make a way. I know. Okay. Now that is a song that I love so much. I am hopeful each day, and I'm hopeful for today. I'm grateful because I know He will make a way. Now that is a very positive mental attitude. That in the midst of all, in the midst of it all, in the midst of every chaotic state, circumstances, pressures of life, you say to yourself, I know I'm going to make it. I know things will get better for me. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. You keep saying that to yourself. You keep saying that things turn around, so those dreams becomes your reality. Now, Les Brown said something in one of his quotes that whether you like it or not, the pressures of life would always happen. But when you fall back, ensure that you fall. When you fall, ensure that you fall on your back, because if you can look up, then you can get up. So you need to also understand that every setback is an opportunity, is a destined design setup for your comeback. So be optimistic about life. You gotta have optimism as part of your natural culture, because optimism is what's going to drive you to take the next step of action in the midst of trouble, in the midst of turbulence. It is that hopeful heart, that conscious, that positive mental attitude that will always keep you going in the midst of it all. Alright, now to another point that I want to touch on today is what I call reliability. Now, are you reliable? I've seen a lot of people around me, and my best conclusion to some of their character that I see is, I've said to some of them, you are not dependable. I can't depend on you on anything. I cannot depend on you on some certain things. Now, if you're not dependable, that means you're also not reliable. Now, you can be consistently depended upon to follow through on your commitments, actions, and decisions. You do what you say you will do. That is what reliability is about. Now, but as long as you cannot keep to your promise of time, you cannot keep to your promise of delivery, you cannot keep to your promise of, okay, we are in a team, we're trying to do something together, and you're not playing your role. It tells me you're not a reliable person. It also tells me that I can never and I should never depend on you. It also tells me never to commit anything to you. Why? Because you will never get it done. Now, reliability is key. Dependability is key. If you lack this, then there's a huge problem. Nobody will commit anything to you. And because at the end of the day, even you cannot be committed to what you say you want to do. It is key. You've got to make yourself quite reliable. You need to build reliability as part of your component for success, as part of your component in turning your character into the currency that has value. Then, this other word seems quite ambiguous to quite a lot of us, but I will say what it is. It is called conscientiousness. Now, what exactly is conscientiousness about? Now, it is you having the desire to do things well, or to do the best of your ability. Now, you are thorough. Of course, you're very careful, efficient, effective, organized, and of course quite vigilant, very, very vigilant in your efforts. Now, based on your own principles or sense of what you think is right. Now, that is what conscientiousness is about. Meaning, at every point in time that you have perhaps a task or a desire to do something, you do it to the best of your ability, and you push working based on what you think is right. Quite thorough, you're quite organized, quite careful, efficient, very effective. And also, don't forget the word organized. You are quite organized. That is another key thing that I believe a lot of young people in our generation are lacking. We are so disorganized. And from one of my mentors, TD Jakes, he did say something one day. He said, order is the mother of increase. Meaning, order bets increase. Once you can learn to organize your life and set things in right perspective and order, growth begins to happen to your life. Then you begin to know the things you don't have and the things you need to get and the things you have in excess. Why? Because order is what breeds increase. So if you're disorganized, then it simply says to me that you lack the components of conscientiousness in your character, and you need to build upon it. You need to really work on it. You need to find yourself. You need to have the desire to do things well and quite thorough. You need to be very thorough, careful, efficient, effective, and of course vigilant to the effort based on your own ability, of course, and principles, which drive some sense of self-worth and you doing what is right. Okay, now I'm going to hit on the number 20th component that I've mentioned today. It is called self-discipline. Now, you might have every of the components that I've mentioned. Now, if you lack self-discipline, then there's going to be a huge problem with your character. Now, what does self-discipline, at what point does self-discipline come into our life? Self-discipline comes into our life, in my opinion, in helping us measure or put a barrier to extremism. Okay? Now, because if you're not a very self-disciplined person, you will do things in excess wherein it becomes an offense to others or even to the system that you have built. Now, the ability for you to be able to go through or build some good habits or willpower to overcome your desires or feelings in order to follow the best course of actions or to put rise to your commitment is which is of course in the principle, then you have a very strong sense of self-discipline. Now, part of self-discipline, now discipline in itself, it's something rudimental or regimental in the sense that if I have a culture to say, okay, every morning I have to put up content to be on air, to go to the radio station and ensure that there is a broadcast going on while we're on air, there is a podcast going on Facebook and all of our live stream feeds. Now, it is taking a lot of discipline to sit down, put down content, prepare, rehearse, and be here to do this every day. Now, it is that fact that you are able to go through and push through and having the willpower to overcome your desires or feelings. Because sometimes I feel quite lazy to even sit here. I feel quite lazy to come and put down together content that will run our show. So self-discipline is what has always helped us to stay on course, do something, stay consistent with what we say we want to do, and stay committed to what we say we want to do, and stay at doing them. It's not about just saying we will do this, but we actually commit our time, skill, resources, and effort to ensuring that everything we say we want to do are done on a daily basis. That is what self-discipline is about. Now, this series today has helped us talk about the 20 traits, or what I call the currency called character. Now, I've been able to mention the component that makes your character a worthy currency. Now, I mentioned from integrity, reliability, conscientiousness, self-discipline, respectfulness, optimism. I've talked about politeness. I've talked about lovingness. I've talked about kindness. I've talked about perseverance. I've talked about generosity. I've talked about courageousness. I've talked about authenticity. I also talked about forgiveness, fairness. I also talked about compassion. I talked about humility. I also touched on responsibility. I talked about respectfulness. I touched on loyalty. I talked about honesty, and of course, the number one key that I began with at the beginning of at the middle of last week was integrity. Now, all of these components are what you need, what you and I truly need to turn in our character into a currency. Now, by God's grace, tomorrow we will begin is another series, or in conclusion of the series. It's not enough to mention the traits, but truly how do I build these good characters? How do I build these traits in me? How do I develop this good trait? Tomorrow we will touch on all of that. I want to thank you all for giving me time once again to join in my podcast. Thank you all for being so committed to being here with us once again today. It's been a pleasure doing this with you, and we want to say a big thank you as you connect with us each day. As we sign it right now, I want to leave you with this quote, that being your very best is an effort, although it's a choice. But after you make a choice to say, I want to be the best that I can be, there is always a role